to have Hugo back in Charlotte, man. We borrowed him for a few years, you know what I'm saying? But we went ahead and gave him on back to you, man. So I know you're glad to have him back.
Of course.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Good to see Hugo back in Charlotte. That's definitely where he belongs. I see F-Bomb is in the chat room, and to me, that's just absolutely...
A dynamite!
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Barbershop Sports Nation, what's good? All the networks, what's really good? WBAD, XRP, Sports Jam, Excite, I-95, Starlight, Renegade. Man, you know, I just start running them, Ted, and then I'm like, man, I hope I don't leave anybody out. You know, because I got love for so many. You know, all these people, man, they either, you know, they're simulcasting us or they're running the podcast the next day.
Right.
You know, It's just so much love, and I love them all, man.
Just don't forget the Grind and HUD City Radio and
Word.
Our good friends at UNR1. We might be making a comeback. Stay tuned.
That is
a dynamite.
I love it. JJ is on fire tonight, man. Shout out to Scott Price. You know what I'm saying? My man, Big Bobby, my main man, Chad, and all their respective networks doing the damn thing on all of their, you know, hot shows as well. Shout out to my girl, Nicole. That's what she says, sports. Holding it down in the ATL. Big Head is holding it down in the O-Town. And I'm so excited it's about to go down. We are talking, of course, NHL Finals. We're talking NBA Finals. We're talking what happened to the Triple Chrome. Why is this episode called No Chrome in California? Does that mean that Barbershop Sports is hating on California Chrome? No. I say it's time to put on our Fox Mulder hats. You know what I'm saying? All my ladies out there, get your Scully on. Because we want to know why a fresh horse could be allowed to race in the Belmont Stakes against a horse that had raced in two big competitions in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. We want to know. But it doesn't stop there, folks. I got my Fox Mulder hat on. I'm saying, Big Ted, that I think that I'm done with the NBA for the next 5 years. You heard it. Yeah. I'm announcing it here on Barbershop Sports. Big Head is done, and I'm going to tell you why when we get into the NBA section later. I don't want to spoil it. You know, me and Danny going to be going back and forth.
Yeah, buddy.
You don't want to miss it, man. It's going to be classic radio. So everybody strap in, you know what I'm saying? This roller coaster. This is the part of the roller coaster where it's going up, 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 click, 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 click. And we're getting ready to go down into that first dip. So I hope you're ready. I hope you put on everything. I hope you're tall enough to ride this ride. I wouldn't want you to fall out because we go all over the place. We shouted out all our folks out there. You know, Barbershop Sports is an independent setup, an independent entity. And with that said, we shout out, of course, all of the independent networks out there giving you the real version of the sports, not the, you know, sensationalized version that you get slaughtered with on the evil network, the four letters, who shall not be named. Shout out to all of them. But also, you know, in this big world that we live in, this pop culture world, where we're chopping it up about a little bit of everything, the independent musicians as well. You know, the guys out there, man, touring, making that money on the road, Clear Channel, won't give them no love. You know, Radio 1 won't give them no love. Westwood, nobody's giving them any love, you know, except the fans, you know, the folks that download their joints. And guess who else? Barbershop Sports is giving them love. You know, all thing we ask is that you follow Barbershop Sports on Twitter and that you follow us on Facebook as well. We continue to grow. And speaking of followers, you know what? JJ is coming back, Ted, because we have a very special follower. I found out last night that MC Ren, 1/5 of NWA, is now following Barbershop Sports on Twitter. And I'm not talking about some joker wannabe MC Ren that set up a fake Twitter account. No, baby. The blue check. It's official. So for that, I say...
A dynamite!
Oh, dynamite. Shout out to MC Ren. He's got a new single out right now, man. We retweeted it out there. Don't make me a liar out of me. I don't want to quote it and misquote it or whatever, but go check it out. Go check out his new single with Ice Cube. It's hot. And, hey, I just said another Ice Cube. A single with Ice Cube. So go check it out. So shout out to that. I'm really excited, ready to get into this sports. But without further ado, I'm going to set the tone. Now, this song that I'm going to play is an art from a band, an actual real popular cover band out in Arizona. Matter of fact, they are the house band for 94.5 FM out there in AZ, Arizona, in the desert, home of the Phoenix Suns, Diamondbacks, and a few other things. But without further ado, this band is called Johnny Anonymous. It's a little bit different, you know. We have our different tastes and different flavors. It's a little bit of rock and roll with a little hint of Irish in it. The single is called Cheers to Drinking. When I saw that, I said, you know what? That song is getting played on Barbershop Sports Radio. This is for all my Hennessy drinkers out there, man. All my Budweiser sipping, Bud Light sipping, Heineken drinkers out there, man. All my martini sippers out there. This is for you, man. For Friday, when you get off and you get with the crew and you're knocking them back. The single is called Cheers to Drinking. The band is Johnny Anonymous. You're rocking with Barbershop Sports Radio. We'll be back in a moment.
For us to stay, we've heard it all night with you. And here's to the lot of ya to go and get 'em high.
do-do-do, pa. Oh man, I loved it. I love it. I mean, you hear the sounds of the bottles popping, glasses clinking in the background, man. It had me thinking about those 2 bottles of Maker's Mark that are sitting on my countertop right now. The Maker's 46 and the plain old smooth Maker's Mark, good old Kentucky bourbon. I think I might have me a glass of that after the show, Ted, just to celebrate, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Johnny Anonymous and big up to their single, Cheers to Drinking at 94.5 FM, The Cool. Well, now it's time to really get into this thing. We're going to talk about it. I mean, we got 3 games. We got 3 archives, separate archives, footage of the NBA Finals in the books. This is why, we do this weekly show so we can take time, we can analyze it. We're not like those other networks out there where, they're just shooting off the top of their head after the game, press conferences asking the stupidest, dumb-ass questions, baffling players and coaches alike. No. This is intelligent commentary. So, without color commentary, I should say. So, without further ado, Big Ted, Big Danny, let's start with the most recent game. The Spurs were on fire. Matter of fact, they were so much on fire that they broke an NBA Finals record in the highest shooting percentage in a half at 0.7%, Big Danny?
Yeah, it was just 75.8 in the first half.
0.8, thank you. 75.8%. Now, Danny, Miami is known as a defensive team. They're well coached. LeBron James is, one of the best defenders in this league. What happened? How does that happen at home in front of your fans, Danny?
It's very simple. I mean, the Spurs last night were playing, NBA Live or NBA 2K on like rookie mode. I mean, they came out and hit 19 of their first 21 shots. I mean, most players can't hit 19 out of 21, shooting by themselves in an open gym. And the Spurs were hitting everything. They hit 7 3-pointers to start the game, and it was just a barrage of shots from everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was like they couldn't miss. Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, who was quiet as a church mouse in games 1 and 2, all of a sudden was He-Man and just, couldn't be stopped. I mean, his defense was, really good. I mean, LeBron is still going to score. I mean, we're talking about one of the best players in the league. But it was really good at times. He got a lot of key stops and steals. So it's no secret. I mean, the Spurs gave the Heat a good thumping. But what happened to the other 2 of the big 3? I mean, LeBron had a pretty good game. I can't quote his numbers right now, but Danny, LeBron had a good game. What happened to Chris Bosh, who had been playing well in games 1 and 2? And Dwayne Wade, they seem real have quiet games in games 3.
Well, Wade had 22 points and 8 of 12 shooting last night, so 6 of 8 from the line. So he played well. In Chris Bosh's case, he only took 4 shots. He was 4 of 4. He hit 1 3-pointer. He only had 9 points. He was in foul trouble. Last night in Miami's case, LeBron, he had the 22, 5, and 7 assists and 5 steals. He also had 7 turnovers, and so really, I think a combination of the Heat of the Spurs' insane shooting in the first half and the fact of the Heat couldn't get in a rhythm offensively, and really, the major problem last night was the Heat do not have any point guard play. Mario Chalmers and Norris Cole did not get it done last night. I mean, Chalmers went 0 for 5 from the floor. Norris Cole went 3 of 9. When you're starting your point guards are shooting 4 for 13, and it's just they didn't have any help last night. They were helpless.
Didn't look good. Now, Big Ted up there in New York, man. I know you don't really have any vested interest in either of these teams, but I know you're a sports guy nonetheless. What was your take on Game 3? I mean, Miami comes and rallies and, bests the Spurs at home and then comes and just, in the first half, they were literally at one point down by, I believe, as many as 28 points.
Yeah, they were. And coming from a fan's perspective, it's, the series is what it is. I mean, from anyone that's not a Heat or Spurs fan, you hope that it goes 7 games. You hope that you're entertained. And last night was one of those games that, you either turned the TV off or you became a Miami Heat fan and left the game before it was over and, with 5 minutes to go. So, I don't know. They just really didn't show up, and the Spurs just had that intensity. And Tim Duncan technically is 38, but he's playing like he's 28, overall in the series.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got the eye of the tiger. I don't know if he's going to retire or not if they win a championship, but the way he's playing right now, I mean, he still looks like he got at least, what you think, Danny, at least 1 year left or 2,
I mean,
before he hangs it up.
I mean, The way Duncan's playing, the way he's playing like this, hell, he could play into his 40s.
The way they rest their players,
Yeah, the way Pop takes care of his players, Duncan only has to play, 55, 60 games, and you just rest him for the playoffs, and you unleash him. Why not?
But it comes down to, James is going to show up every night wholeheartedly. But it's like, what is everyone else going to do? I mean, and I'm sorry, but you have to wrap everyone into the supporting cast. It's really what they do. And if Bosh is only taking 4 shots, then obviously he's not being aggressive enough. I mean, regardless, foul trouble or not, he's your number 3 option. He's your third max player.
He's $100 million player.
Yeah, you're right. You're damn right. That's unacceptable to me. Danny, I'm going to go there in a minute, but before I go there, let's talk about LeBron James, man. The Big Ted, you said LeBron, he brings it every night. I mean, he literally, I was listening to another guy's podcast, Bill Burr, and he was talking about LeBron James. He called him an X-Man. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he's a mutant. He's a freak.
Mm-hmm.
He can do literally. he can do everything. He can pass. He can defend. Every position. From
5,
the point guard to the center. I mean, he can score at will. I mean, he's a coach's wet dream. Of a basketball player. But he gets a lot. I mean, a ton of hate. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Why do people, let's just say non-Miami Heat fans, and that's mostly what it is. I mean, you're not getting that from the Heat fans, but if you're not a Heat fan, it's very little gray area. It's either you hate them or you love them. So why is that? Why does America feel that way about LeBron James, you think? I'll start with you, Big Danny.
I mean, to me, the day, I just think it all started with the day of signing with the Miami Heat. To me, and me and Hans have been going about this, through Facebook and through, different things, different channels all week, but I compare LeBron James signing to the Miami Heat as like Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. It was like he joined the dark side. He was in Cleveland all these years, a beloved figure in Cleveland, and then now he joins with Dwayne Wade. He joins with Chris Bosh to win a championship. So you have every Cavaliers fan or anybody who loves Cleveland, having their heart broken by another star player or another athlete breaking the city's heart. And then you team him with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in another city to win a championship together. So it's like I said, it's like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan all joining together to create the NWO, and their purpose was to come together to win championships. And people just don't like that. The old school basketball fans don't like guys coming together to win a championship. They're from the days of Magic and Bird and Jordan, Olajuwon. These superstars never teamed together to win championships, and that's why the hate comes from.
And, it's not just, and I'm going to go to Big Ted with this one, because you mentioned, we talked about the fans. It's not just the fans. I mean, Big Ted, when I hear Michael Jordan talk about LeBron James, it looks like he's gritting his teeth sometimes, trying to give him props. He doesn't think that LeBron James could have beat him when he was in his prime. You can hear it. You can feel like, I don't really like this kid. I mean, I like this kid. I know who he is, who he's supposed to be, but I don't see him like that. Why do you think that is?
Not that I disagree with Danny, and I'm sure when Bucko and B-Ride join the conversation, or in segment 3 or segment 4, I think he's just rubbed people the wrong way, because it's not just with the Heat. The Heat was the first misstep. I think you take it back to when he was in high school and rolling up to his high school with a Hummer, with the game console, and supposedly mother living in the projects, or and it's like his whole life has been shoved down everyone's throats. So I think there's some disdain from that, where the worldwide leader, I mean, he's on the little ticker at the bottom of the screen doing something every 5 minutes. You got your LeBron app, and you got it starts there. It's really, I think, it started with, if it wasn't LeBron, it would have been anyone else. When MJ hit that final shot in '98 of the championship series, when he he gave Byron Russell the Phantom, because I mean it was a push, it was whatever you want to say. It was a
that was a foul play.
I think it starts at that point, and whomever walks in from that point on is going to get a level of hate, because the one thing when you look at the two stars, and they're compared, from day one. I mean, two totally different types of players. One totally beloved by America and abroad. The second one, kind of like you said, you grit your teeth and you're just like, ugh. But it's not based on his skill set. His skill set is totally out there. But I think we go back to the fact that, he's in your face every day. You hear about how great he is. And yes, we have to respect how great he is. But, and we're not really going to appreciate him, and I'll give this back to Danny Ahez, we won't appreciate him until he retires. Because that's when that void is going to happen. And you'll look for, think about this. Compare LeBron James to Kevin Durant. Look across the league and see the level of respect from fans, from GMs, from all over. I mean,
everybody loves Kevin Durant.
Everyone. I hand it back to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be a damn fool the way that Kevin Durant carries himself. The respect, that he shows, and love for the mother after every game. I mean, when he hits the shot, he's making the cross and looking up at the sky. So he clearly shows he's a man of faith. Now, whether you're into religion or not, that's a different story. But this guy is a class act. I mean, you saw his MVP speech. I mean, this guy is one of a kind. I mean, he's very thankful. And, on the flip side of that, you kind of see LeBron, who, we've been watching him since he was in Akron playing high school basketball. I first of all, before I say what I'm going to say, how could you not be a spoiled brat? I mean, the kid had Michael Jordan's cell phone number when he was 18 years old. Everybody was telling him he was the second coming. He was the guy who he has become today. But they were saying that, when he was in high school. So you're hearing this pretty much all your young life to now. How could you not be spoiled? But even though he carefully crafts his image in the public, some of that spoiled brat leaks out from time to time. Some of the things that he does, yes, he does. We see in it rubs people the wrong way. The big event. No, I'm just saying. It rubs people the wrong way. The big long event, the decision. It rubs people the wrong way. And I know he used it for charity to give to the Boys and Girls Club, and that's great. But it's like it's too much. It's like, God, just go and just come on ESPN, take 15 minutes, and say where you're going. All right, let's move on. And I just think that's what it is. Go ahead, Danny.
Now, Hezzy, this is where me and you will disagree on this one. I think, to Ted's point, we've heard about this kid since, high school. But you have to understand, an athlete like LeBron James in any sport comes on once in, a lifetime. I mean, when have we ever seen a high school kid live up to every bit of expectation, if not even greater? Remember, this man came out of high school as the greatest high school player to ever to lace up a pair of shoes. And he stepped into the NBA as an 18-year-old and has lived up to the hype ever since. Now, you might call him spoiled, and you might say, why is Kevin Durant, a more respected, a more loved player? Let's just say this. If Kevin Durant were to go team up with, Kevin Love and John Wall for another team, for example, and they won championships, would Kevin Durant be as loved as LeBron James, or will he still be the same player? I honestly think it comes down to the fact of, yes, ESPN does throw a lot of LeBron James down our throats on a regular basis, but remember, when Jordan played, social media was never the way it was now. Can you imagine Michael Jordan in this age of social media, how much they throw Jordan down our throats, and Jordan would love every second of it? LeBron James is what Michael Jordan was to what we had in the 80s and 90s. It's just the fact that now we have more outlets to put LeBron out there for. The man has done everything you've asked him to do. Yes, he had to misstep with the decision, and I think to this day, I think it's one of the few things he does regret. He has an entourage. But what professional athlete at his level doesn't have an entourage? Floyd Mayweather has it. You look at any of these major stars, they have entourages. They have things that they ask for. I'm sorry, like movie stars or big time, like I said, movie stars. But LeBron James' case, what has LeBron done besides the decision that he's misstep for?
I got to jump in here. We got a problem because when you dub yourself the chosen one, and you have yet to step
on his back, right?
Right. Come on.
Yeah. He's been given the name the chosen one since high school.
We're not doubting his skills. His skills are superior, okay? But you ask any of the greats, and you say to any of the greats, LeBron or Kobe, 9 out of 10 times everyone says Kobe. Why? Because he's a natural-born killer. He'll take that shot at the end. He won't pass off. I'm not saying anything's wrong with passing off, but 5 seconds ago, he's not looking for somebody by the three-point line. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to live with it. And, Kobe is Kobe. He's got the 5 rings to show for it. Not to say LeBron won't surpass that someday. We all hope he does. But he's missing that natural-born killer instinct.
Okay, but the thing is, LeBron's only, 29 years old? LeBron still has another 7 healthy years left, maybe 8 healthy years left in his career. So you have to understand, remember, Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship until how old was he, 28, 29? So you have to understand, LeBron's not even halfway through his career, and we're still comparing him to Kobe's at the end of his career. Let's have this discussion, like you said in your last piece, that when he's all said and done and we look back on LeBron,
right,
at the way he's going, he is going to be considered one of the greatest players to ever lace up a pair of tennis shoes. And just remember, if the Heat win this series, you know the band's coming back together because nobody has four-peated since the Celtics. So
you know what?
LeBron wins the championship next year. He's already won up Jordan. He's already won up Kobe. Those two can never say they won 4 straight championships. Never. They're your legacy right there.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but there's something that's been eating at me for a long time, man. I've always, you know what, matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and get this thing started, man. I told you guys, get your Scully and Mulder hats out, because it's that time now, man. Yes, it's time for Big Hez's NBA X-Files conspiracy. I believe, personally, that the NBA is rigged. I believe that the league office, in no uncertain terms, informs their officials to control the tempo of certain games, not every game, but of certain games that can bring a lot of ratings. I see it. I also believe that the players are somewhat influenced by that as well. And before you say, hey, you're out of your mind, that's not true. They play the game, however it goes is the way it goes. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I was listening to Bill Burr's, podcast from June 2nd, last Monday, or Monday before last, rather. And he was talking about the same thing. He believes it's rigged. And, a lot of people will be like, you're crazy. Well, I got 2 words for you. Tim Donaghy. Now, this guy was an NBA referee for, I believe, 13 years in the league. So he was good enough to be a referee for 13 years. Of course, he got disgraced, It became publicized that he was, controlling games to make money on games. But after that, it went a step further where he said that the NBA influences officials to do that. And he most recently went on radio in Toronto. I think it was April 22nd, 23rd. And basically what he said was the NBA is still doing this. Of course, they came out and denied it. They said, this guy's just a, convicted felon just trying to get his name out there. But, whenever you got those, those people crying, hey, man, I'm telling you something's wrong. Something is wrong. Now, my most recent feeling for this is Game 2 in San Antonio, where the Heat have a short bench. Pop has a deep bench. You said, when you look at this thing on paper, of course, you got the ultimate X factor in LeBron James, but the way that the Spurs have been destroying much better competition. You said that, and their depth, and how young Tim Duncan's playing, Ginobili's have been playing better. Those role players have been playing really good. That this looks like the Spurs were coming back for theirs. Then all of a sudden you see all of these BS files. I saw Kawhi Leonard get 3-4 fouls. He had to sit down early. Danny Green got 3 fouls. He had to sit down early, which left LeBron James and Boris Diaw. We know how that went. Didn't go well for Boris Diaw, but great for LeBron James. Which led the Heat. The tempo was pro Heat. The Heat win. Now they go home, and in front of their fans, Chris Bosh, who had been playing great in games 1 and 2, all of a sudden he just took 4 shots. What's the switch to decide when I'm going to be aggressive and when I'm not going to be aggressive on the floor? I'm a $100 million player. Things look fishy to me. Kawhi Leonard, the guy who went off in Miami in Game 3, he had a combined 16 points. He goes down to Miami Game 3, all of a sudden he's hot. He can't be stopped. And I'm just looking at this like this is theater that I'm watching here. And it's not good theater. And I'm going to say that I believe the NBA, the Miami Heat, to get this three-peat. It's great ratings. They want what Danny said. They want the three-peat. They want this guy, LeBron James, to one-up Michael Jordan. They need that. They want that for their ratings. And that's just how I feel, man. And that's why I'm not really giving any serious attention to the NBA until they correct this thing. I have replaced the NBA with hockey, man. I'm done. It's a sham.
Has I got one question for you?
What's up?
If the Spurs win Game 4 tomorrow night and go up 3-1, are you watching Game 5?
Not with any general interest. I'm telling you, I don't care who wins at this point. Because, like I said, I truly believe that the thing is scripted, man. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the Spurs. You know, I was pro Spurs. You're right, but at this point, when I watched Game 2, I was like, you know what, I'm done. So when somebody texted me, it was like, "Yo, the Spurs are up by like 23." I was just like, okay, whatever. You know, I have lost my fire for the NBA, man. It's just cheap. I mean, I don't even need to watch this sport anymore because I know at the end of the day, it's going to be the Miami Heat in the East because all of the teams are pure crap in the East. and in the West, it's going to be either San Antonio, Oklahoma City, year after year. Forget the Clippers. That's just a wet dream. That's a pipe dream. Golden State Warriors, that's just a pipe dream. I'm telling you, man, I don't like it. So go ahead, Big Ted.
Nah, I just think for what we were talking about offline, for ratings, it's going to go 7. And going to pass it to Danny really quick and say, would you believe Hezzy's point of view if magically Carmelo winds up on the Heat next year?
Oh, God. We didn't even get to that. And I know S4 is waiting patiently to talk about horses, man. We're going to talk Belmont Stakes shortly, but go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna bring that point up too. For those who don't know, Stephen A. Smith broke a story earlier today saying that there's a 95% chance that if Carmelo and LeBron will opt into their contracts, they're going to opt out next year and then end up either in New York or Miami together. And now there's a second ESPN report saying that there's a potential that all 3 members of the Big 3 will opt out of their contracts and then re-sign for less money to be able to afford to add Carmelo Anthony to South Beach next summer.
Oh, my God.
That's sick, man.
That's disgusting.
Because LeBron and Carmelo want to play together.
That is, oh, my God. That is SHITBULL. That is garbage. These guys are trash, man. They're trash.
See,
you mean to tell me, dude, let me say this. I got to say this on the radio. If Phil Jackson was the New York Knicks janitor and I was playing on that team, I'm staying in New York, let alone the president of basketball freaking operations. Dude, I tell you, I have no respect. If Carmelo Anthony does that, the little respect that I do have for him, because I already think he's kind of soft, but he has, this year kind of, ebbed that way. If he does that, if he leaves New York, and I know the New York fans are kind of lukewarm on him, but to me, it's about legacy. It should always be about legacy. These young punk players don't care about legacy. All they care about is looking good, being in the spotlight, scoring up a bunch of points, and partying with each other. They're not trying to best each other. Dude, I'm telling you, if Carmelo Anthony either goes to Boston, for one, you from New York. When you cried, Big Ted, he whined and cried to get out of Denver. When he got to New York, what did he say? I'm home. I'm home. I'm home.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
And only bad part was Amari's knees went home, and the big salary cap went home as well too when Carmelo got there. You know, it has to make your point though. I as much as I want to believe the ESPN story, I'm really, you know, and what Stephen A. Smith is saying, I'm just thinking that I don't think Carmelo entertains the idea of leaving New York unless I think it's for Houston. I think it's the only other place that he would consider other than staying in New York, only because Chicago is shaky because of Derrick Rose's knee situation. Because Derrick Rose isn't healthy, Carmelo is pretty much in the same boat in Chicago that he's in New York, and the only difference that he has a way better head coach in Tom Thibodeau and a defensive system that would hide his liabilities. But either way, he's not beating Miami if he leaves for Chicago. It's not happening. Unless Derrick Rose is the Derrick Rose before the injury. If Derrick Rose comes back as the same Derrick Rose from injury, then yeah, they have a shot.
Let me ask you something, Danny. Would you want to go and play in a gym with a Michael Jordan statue in front of it? I mean that's how Jordan built, man.
You're wearing his shoes. You're taking his endorsement money.
Oh my God,
that's true. It's true.
It's true.
Good point, Danny.
True, but it makes him look like a cheap whore. What about legacy,
right now,
man? Come on, man. Why can't there be a Melo Anthony statue in front of Madison Square Garden? Why can't that happen?
The same reason why it's not a Patrick Ewing statue in front of Madison Square Garden either.
Not built for
the only difference is that Pat had loyalty to pretty much they traded him to Seattle. So you have to understand, in New York, it's either win or you fail. There is no gray line. For as great a player Patrick Ewing is, he will be considered a failure to Knicks fans because he did not bring a championship home. Carmelo has been in New York three. You said what? What you say, Ted?
I said he's already a failure.
He's never won a championship. Think about it. Anytime a big time player goes to New York and does not win, his legacy will be nothing. Carmelo, he went to New York for 3 years and they never put anything around him. Amari's knees went away. You know, they made some funny moves here and there, funny coaching changes. Carmelo is soon to be 30 years old. He only has a few years left in his career. If he has a shot at a championship, it's either you trust Phil Jackson to land Kevin Love and the Rajon Rondo in New York next summer, or you take the route of going, okay, I can go in Houston, take one less year and do what Dwight Howard did, get all that money back with no state taxes, and I have James Harden and Dwight Howard on my side. I mean, it's like comic books.
It's fool's gold, man. I'm telling you, number one, Dwight Howard, you know how I feel about him. So you play two soft dudes and have them playing together. I don't like that. And James Harden's not man enough to put either of them dudes in check. So you just got a bunch of divas. And you think Kevin McHale is No. I'm sorry. Dude, there's no greener pastures for this guy. Unless he goes
staying in New York.
Exactly. Miami obviously would be a green pasture because you got, it's the same type of situation. You think about Eric Spoelstra, who's kind of coming into his own, but to me, he for years has been a Pat Riley puppet because Pat Riley doesn't want to go through the actual physical stresses of being on the sideline anymore. He needed somebody he can mold to coach according to the way he wanted it to be, and he would groom him up. Now you got Derek Fisher, a guy who's won championships with Phil Jackson, understands the way Phil Jackson thinks. Phil Jackson is going to do the same type of thing with him. I mean, there's no way he can. Boston, Danny, it's not going to happen. Derrick Rose, you can't trust his knees. They're made out of paper. Dwight Howard, he don't care about legacy. He don't care about championships. I mean, I'm not saying James Harden don't care about championships, but he doesn't have the stones like Michael Jordan used to do, go on the plane and take a man dinner from him if he didn't feel he played like a man. James Harden would never walk up to Dwight Howard and take his dinner from him.
Nope.
No.
You got to be that type of dude.
Why?
Because they soft.
There's only one player in the league. Honestly, I think other than Kobe Bryant and Kevin Durant, there's only one other player with the cold-blooded streak, and that's Chris Paul.
Chris Paul will take your dinner from you. And, Kevin Garnett, he too old. His knee's gone. But he was that type of player, too. He would take you. He would check you. But those killers, you got to have one.
Don't sleep on Carmelo going to Boston. If they can land Kevin Love and you put Carmelo with Love and Rondo together, it's the same thing they're trying to do in New York. Boston would just beat them to the punch.
It's just so I just couldn't see Tom Brady playing for the New York Giants. I couldn't see Eli Manning playing for the New England Patriots. It's this whole New York Boston thing, man. They hate each other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they don't like the Bruins can't stand the Rangers, the Islanders. The Red Sox hate it's just a hate between these two cities. And you are going to go. Benedict Arnold is what I would call him if he did that.
2 players have done it: Jacoby Ellsbury, Johnny Damon.
Well, we won't be talking about that from now. That's for sure. But anyway, my man. What's up, Big Ted?
Big Head. Just to round out that segment, that's the big difference between the 80s and the early 90s versus what we're seeing nowadays. You got. I mean, we've said it on many times. Bird would never play with Magic.
No way.
Jordan would never want to play with Isaiah. And look at what you have here. So the parting shot and the parting thought on that is, if Melo does wind up in Miami, that takes LeBron off the hook, and America will then take Carmelo. That's it.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, we have sliced and diced up the NBA talk. My main man, Big Espo, I hope his microphone is hot. He's been sitting there waiting patiently. Actually, we were supposed to talk about horse racing about 10 minutes ago, but it got kind of heated up in there, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that. That's why this is the barbershop. It happens. But Big Espo, I appreciate your patience, brother.
No problem.
Welcome to the show. You know what I'm saying? Me and Big Espo held it down at the Orlando Sanford Kennel Dog track last week. Last weekend we watched the Belmont Stakes together. Me and him and my boy Big Speeds came through. My girl Stacy came through. And we was there with a ton of people. Again, I'm walking into this whole new world because, horse racing and things that's a new world for me. And I'm looking at all of these people in there, man, placing their bets, and it's just all of this energy, man. Big Espo, we were all watching that screen, and I got a feeling. It was like everybody there, just even if they didn't bet on California Chrome, even if they bet on another horse, there was a part of them that wanted to see California Chrome win. And when he didn't do it, when Toneless, won the Belmont Stakes, it was like a vacuum was sucked out of that place, man. Like, all of the energy that I felt walking in there, people, selling the California Chrome T-shirts. You bought one, I remember.
Yep.
And you got it. So let's just the first question that I have for you, Espo, and this is for everybody out there. Do you think that it's fair to race a fresh horse against a horse that has already been in competition? We knew that California Chrome had raced and I mean, just demolished the Kentucky Derby. He demolished the Preakness. So is it fair for a guy to bring in a fresh horse and race it against this horse?
No, and I think that's what happened was after the race, we didn't get to see it. I got to see it when I got home. But apparently the owner of California Chrome was very upset, and he went on a rampage and started screaming and yelling and taking away from the actual horse's won, Toneless. He was taking away from his victory by saying this is not fair, that they shouldn't be allowed to race. The thing I would say is I agree with his principle. I don't agree with what he was saying. I think what they need to do is they have a point system for horses that get into the Kentucky Derby. It's top 20 horses, bottom line. Whoever gets the most points, the top 20 will go to the Derby. So I say expand that and say top 30 horses are the only horses that can run in the Triple Crown. End of conversation. It doesn't matter if they ran the first two or not. That'll prevent people from bringing in a fresh horse just to spoil the Triple Crown, as was Tonalist and as was Commissioner. Neither one of them were in the top 30 in the points. So therefore, they wouldn't have been able to run. I agree with him on that statement.
Gotcha.
Because, like I said, NASCAR has it. NASCAR has a point system that if you don't get into the top 12 or whatever it is, you can't run in the last couple of races. You could be on the track, but you don't count for the championships. Now, I'm not saying that those horses should be on the track anyway. I'm saying take them off the track. If they don't have enough points, get them off the track. Tell them they can't race.
I mean, it's something to, this is a Triple Crown event, man. This hasn't happened in 36 years. Now clue us all into when was the last horse that was, threatening to win the Triple Crown, Espo.
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
When was the last horse that threatened to win the Triple Crown?
It was a couple of years back. 4 years ago, it was I'll Have Another. He had won the first two, and he had actually been told he couldn't wear the nasal strip, and he was going to go on without the nasal strip, but apparently got a career-ending injury during training, and he never made it to the gates for the Belmont Stakes. Therefore, the Triple Crown stayed vacated that year. And then before that was Big Brown, but he pretty much didn't have anything left in the tank either at the top of the stretch. That was, I believe, 06, but I could be wrong.
Gotcha. Well, but it's major. It doesn't happen often. Every few years or so, you get one of these special horses. Obviously, it's not an easy thing to do if it's been 36 years since it's happened.
Right.
But with that said, man, if it's a Triple Crown, if you have one of those special horses, I'm not saying you should race them against cheap competition. Put them up against other horses that can compete, but put them up against other horses that have done the same thing that he has done. That's just my feeling on it.
Right, and that's what most people feel. The only people who don't feel like that right now are the true, and I don't want to call them out, but the true, old school racing people who say, Affirmed when he won it in 78, he beat all the best horses. Didn't matter who it was. Yeah, but in 1978, people didn't sit out races and wait for the third race to spoil someone's Triple Crown bid. Back then, it was Alidar and Affirmed. They ran all three together, and they finished first, second, and all three together. And it basically was just those two horses. Nowadays, the trainers are doing it just to get that notoriety that they're the ones who ruined the Triple Crown. As bad as that sounds, they're actually getting publicity out of it because everybody's like, oh, remember who trained that horse? This guy. So we'll give him some more good horses. Look what he did with that horse.
Yeah, I just don't like that, man. That's just hate. You sitting back as a trainer and you're watching, and you're waiting, and you see, okay, now you got this horse. He demolished the Kentucky Derby. It wasn't even close. Demolished the Preakness again. Wasn't even close. And that Tonalist owner, I'm telling you, he was sitting back.
Oh man! Hey!
He was hating. He was salty.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you're just gonna play a spoiler. That's like a big time movie is about to come out, right? Somebody goes and sees it. You can't wait to see it, man. You've been waiting on this thing, and then somebody, oh man, let me tell you how it ends. I want to punch that dude in the face.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody likes anybody like that, man. You know what I'm saying? So I just think they should have some kind of system to make it,
right.
Like I
said, I do agree with what you're saying. I do understand, though, that they want to take care of these horses. If their horse doesn't have if they don't win the Derby and they don't want to run the Preakness because they don't want to run 3 races in 5 weeks, that's fine. But if they were in the Derby, that means they have enough points to be in the Triple Crown. That means they're one of the top 30 horses as a 3-year-old. make it 30 horses. And make it, if you're not in those 30, you can't race. Thomas and Commissioner, neither one of them. And another one in the race, he didn't factor, but Matusiak, or whatever his name was, he was another horse that was nowhere near the top 30 in points for that he got to run in the Belmont. I just don't think that's not right. That's like, bringing LeBron James off the bench in a one-point game when he hasn't played the whole fourth quarter or any of the game. And now, of course, he's going to win the game for you.
Right. I was thinking about it from a human standpoint. Like, I mean, imagine, in the Olympics, in track and field, you got Usain Bolt, and he's running in all of these competitions, the 400, the 200, and you got this one guy who didn't compete in any of those competitions, and then he competes against Usain Bolt in one competition and beats him. I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? That's the way I look at it. So, whatever.
Exactly.
I don't want to beat it to death, but, I just would like to see them do something to make it a little bit more fun and competitive, especially when you got a Triple Crown horse. Now,
absolutely,
they got something else going on that's major right now. Down in the country where some of the most beautiful women in the world live, Brazil is the home country to the World Cup. Down in Brazil, soccer is big, like the NFL is big here in the United States. Soccer is major, and they are playing host country. I mean, they're building all of these stadiums. There's some other things that's going on right now. The people are protesting it because they're like, yo, you're wasting all this money on that. But we're not going to get into that right now. It's a huge event. All of the best teams are from around the world are there. We got a little pool going right now. We put a post about it on Facebook. I'm rolling with Ghana, a.k.a. the Black All-Stars. Big Ted, who you rolling with, brother?
I got the Brits, man. I'm rolling with the Brits on this one.
You're rolling with the UK. Big Espo. Who you rolling with, brother?
What was that?
I said, who are you rolling with?
Unfortunately, I took my home country, so I took Italy. The home of
Italy? Okay.
I took Italy.
No doubt. Hey, it's all good. And Big Danny, who you rolling with, brother?
I had to take my boy CR7 in Portugal. Mr. Ronaldo and company out there. So. No doubt.
I was just looking in the chat room, man. Look like F-Bomb shares that sentiment with you, brother. So I guess we're gonna see how it goes. But who do you think, Espo, or let's say the top 5 teams to watch? Keep an eye on.
Well, you got to watch for the host country, Brazil. But although they're gonna have to play really well, because if it goes bad for them, I could see this turning into a nightmarish World Cup for everybody, not just Brazil. With riots and stuff, you got Argentina, who's playing at the top of their game, and they have the number 1 player in the world, Lionel Messi. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's probably one of the best. And then you got Germany. Although they've been in a really bad drought lately, they haven't been to a World Cup final in, I think it's 18 years or something. So that's about 4 or 5 World Cups. You got Belgium's a dark horse that you can worry about in the top 5. They're ranked in the top 10, and they're actually pretty good. They're a team to watch out for. They're a very soft group. They can advance pretty easily. Once they advance, then it's from there. It could be anybody's game if they just knock out one of the teams. And you always got to have Spain because they're defending champs. But I really think Spain's past their prime. I think they hit their peak in 2010, and I think they're past their prime.
No Furio Rojo, not this year, Big Espo?
No, I'm not feeling them. I mean, listen, 2010 was a weak. It was a weak World Cup. One of the weakest I've ever seen because you have a team like Algeria, who if they didn't give up a goal, would have advanced into the round of 16. Algeria in the USA group. They gave up a goal with like 2 minutes to go in regulation to Landon Donovan that sent USA through to the round of 16. So it was kind of a weak year, and I think Spain benefited from that, and that being their first World Cup ever. So that was their first major title ever. Like, they had never won a major title. Then they went on to win the Euro 2012, which was the next major title. But you know, you never know what could happen with this. And I think this one, if anything, this World Cup is wide open. Anybody can take it, and pretty much, even though Brazil's 3-1 favorites, that's only because they're home. If they weren't home, they wouldn't be 3-1 favorites. They wouldn't be top. They'd be maybe the 15 in the top 5.
Interesting stuff. So would you say, Espo, for a fan of soccer right now, this is like a kid in the candy store, man. This is like the March Madness tournament where you got like 4 or 5 games going on at once, and you're trying to follow and keep up with everything. How would you describe this time for soccer right now?
People ask me what's my favorite time of year for sports. And I always joke and I say once every 4 years in June. And they don't get it until I explain to them it's because of the World Cup. I said, this is the premier event. Forget the Super Bowl, what happens every year. Forget the Stanley Cup Finals. This World Cup means so much that other than the USA, unfortunately, countries will shut down for the entire day because their team is playing at 6 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock at night. Whatever time they're playing, they shut down their country. You go to that country, for example, Brazil versus Croatia, that's the first game. You go to Croatia, no one's in the streets. Everybody's in their house or in the bars watching the game. Nobody's working. Everybody's doing the right thing and watching the game. Here in the USA, I guarantee you most fans don't even know what time the first game is for the USA and who they're playing, other than, you know, the casual fan might know they're playing Ghana, but I guarantee you they don't know what day it is or what time of the day it is. These guys.
I'm in that group. Unfortunately, you know, I would like by next World Cup to be up to speed, but currently, unfortunately, I'm in that group, man. But it's awesome how you describe it. You know, we're not just talking about our bubble that we live in here in the U.S. of A. We're talking about the world. And this is a world event. And in other countries, when this is going on, don't you wish here in the States, Big Ted, when the Super Bowl was going on, your boss said, man, don't worry about coming into work today, man?
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely.
That's not happening here.
I'm not talking about on Sunday. I'm talking about Super Bowl, you know, the playoffs. Imagine that. You know, if the playoffs are on, don't worry about it. Nobody's expecting you to come to work. That's what's happening in these countries, Ted. This is law. This is major. You know, so, I mean, it's crazy. It's a big event. I wish I could be down there, man. I know it's a lot of different things going on. You know, we talked about some of the social issues with the people protesting the stadiums and things of that nature, but, you know, this is major. People from all over the world down there. Our boy, Mr. Mike Tirico, the man who does it all. I was like, man, is there a sport that Mike Tirico doesn't cover, Ted? I mean, golf, baseball, football. You know, he's down there, man, in front of the beach in Rio de Janeiro. I said, man, if I could walk in Mike Tirico's shoes for one day, that would be a great day, player. He's
getting some major checks. Let's think about it.
Because I don't think there's nobody else. There's no other journalist that does it like that. I mean, usually they kind of pick a sport and they stick with it, or maybe they'll do a couple, like Joe Buck. He does the NFL and the MLB. But I mean, this guy does it all. He's a utility.
He does it all. Yes.
So yeah, that's awesome though, man. I'm definitely going to be, obviously, as a casual fan, Espo, I got a little vested interest in this. Watching my Black All Stars, man. West Africa, Ghana, in the house. You know what I'm saying? Let me just set the record straight, people. Cause I hear this so much, Big Ted, and it just eats me, man. It just burns me up when people say, yo, I'm going to Africa. Son, Africa is a freaking continent. Okay?
Not a country.
It's made up of 200 freaking countries.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
That's like somebody saying, yo, I'm about to go to North America. May I holler at you? What part of North America are you going to, player? Canada? The U.S.?
Yeah. Each one of those countries is different from the next one, man. And you'll see that I wrote a couple of that one blog that I got, man. I explained a little bit about Nigeria and how their president almost stopped them from playing in this World Cup because of how bad they played when the World Cup was hosted in their country in South Africa, in their continent, I'm saying. In South Africa, they played so badly that he said, I'm not letting these play in the 2014 World Cup.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And he's 32. Matter of fact, he gave you a little tidbit of his article that's going to be coming out after the show, going straight to barbershopsports.com, published through Twitter, Facebook, all our, social media networks. 32 interesting facts about the World Cup, and that's part 1 of 2. He is locked and loaded and hitting you with a lot of heat. I can't wait to go through all of these 32 facts and waiting for part 2 as well, because like I said, me being a casual fan, this is going to help me get up to speed on what's going on. I'm not going to front. I will be sneaking peeks, during the day, seeing what's going on, following, especially focusing on my team. Espo, I know it's a long day, a long shot, man, but I'm a watcher, man, and I'm going to watch the home country and see what they do as well, man. And also I'll be following all of the rest of the Barbershop Sports team, their picks as well, and see how they do. And that's how I will get involved for this World Cup. And I know you're going to be following Italy, seeing how your boys do. What's their nickname? What's the Italian team's nickname?
Their team name is it's IL Azzurri, which is the Blues, basically, because they wear blue jerseys, even though they wear white. It's hard to pronounce it as Gli Azzurri. Okay,
Gli Azzurri. All right, man. Well, we one step closer to being fluent in Italian, man.
There you go.
No doubt, man. Well, thanks for coming in and giving us that good insight on the Triple Crown and the thoughts on California Chrome and all of those things, and also breaking down the World Cup and how big it is to everybody else around the world, and why it should be big to us. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. That post is going to be coming out after the show, so everybody tune in for that. If you're sleeping or getting ready to turn it in, it'll still be there tomorrow, so check it out. Big Espo, man, thanks for coming in, brother.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
No doubt, man. We catch up with you, brother.
Later.
So, you know what? I had a little piece on pop culture, but you know what? I'm going to shift gears on that, man. Real quick, though, on it. I'll give it a couple of seconds. Really funny story I saw with Tashina Arnold, a.k.a. Pam from Martin. See, I was thinking Martin when I said Arnold, so I kind of blended the two. But this rapper, I shudder to even call him a rapper, Big Ted, because, I grew up on Raquel, man. I grew up on KRS-One, the RZA, the Jizza, Ghostface Killer, Redman. I grew up on these types of rappers, B.I.G., Pac, and this clown who goes by the name of French Montana, garbage rapper, garbage. He decides to poke fun of Tashina Arnold. He caught a bad picture of her and posted it on his Instagram. And said Martin would have tore up. Now, for all of us who know about the Martin show, Martin and Pam would go at it all the time. So it's funny. But French Montana, you caught this. We're not talking about the Martin show. That's been off the air for many years. She's done other shows since then. Hello, Everybody Hates Chris. Another big time show that's still syndicated. This lady's still collecting checks from 2 big shows, and she's doing her thing. And charity and other things of that nature. So she sees her people let her know what happened, and she goes in on, son. Who are you? It looks like you like taking pictures with legitimate celebrities. What do you do again? I mean, she destroyed this guy on Instagram, and it lit the blog world up for a little bit. Bottom line, Big Ted, 4 words, stay in your lane. Okay?
Yes,
if you're not in the big boys lane, don't pull in there. Don't pull that little Fiat. You know, this is a lane for the 18-wheelers right here, baby. We'll run you over and we won't even know, man. We think it's a speed bump. You know? Stay in your lane. You know what, Ted? That goes for all these little shows thinking that they can be barbershop sports too, man. You know? Stay in your lane. There's only one barbershop sports. You do your thing.
No competition.
We do our
There's no competition.
You know?
No competition out there. Stop it.
But I don't want to stop. I don't want to start talking too much and people stop liking me like LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into that situation. You know. So let me just shut it up now. Let me get humble like Kevin Durant. And thank everybody for listening and all that. Thank my mama and everything. But I joke. I joke. Yo, the Stanley Cup Finals are going on right now, son. Can we stick a fork in the Rangers or what, man? I mean, last time I looked, it didn't look good. Whoa. Let me back it up. Back it up. Dyslexia hit me for a second. Because I thought I was looking at L.A. up 2-1.
Nope.
But it's the Rangers that are up 2-1. They are fighting for their lives. God bless them at the end of the second. But this ain't the first time we've seen this, Ted. They've been up in this series a couple of times.
But it's different. Here's the key piece is they don't want to get swept and have the Kings parading around Lord Stanley Cup at MSG. So they're going to do everything they can for it to go to 5. Now Game 5 back at the Staples Center, game over. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what, man? I really hope that they can pull it off. It looks like it's at the end of the second. Let me just refresh just to make sure.
Yes. End of the second period. So we're going into, a brief, 10 or 15, 20-minute intermission. And then they're going to have that third period. And I think the Rangers pull this one out.
You know what? Let me just say, I love hockey, man. You know, at the end of every period, it's like halftime, man. It's like you get 2 halftimes. It's freaking awesome, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can go get you a few beers, man. At the end of the hockey game, boy, you are twisted. Yeah. I love it. And then there's the energy. You know, the stadiums are smaller than, typically the ones that I've been in, at least the Tampa Bay Forum. The one that I've been in, the Tampa Bay Forum. I guess the Amway Arena counts for the Orlando Solar Bears, but the people are closer around the ring. It's not filled up. So these stadiums are normally smaller. It's filled. These fans are insane for their teams. I love to see when the guys crash into the plexiglass and, everybody's slamming on the glass. And you just got this, man. If a man could picture what a man's game would be outside of rugby, it would probably be hockey, man. These guys are chippy, man, waiting to throw blows at every chance they get. I mean, the high stick. I mean, man, dude, I would stay in a fight, man. I'm sitting there trying to get this puck. I'm trying to do my job. And you slap me in the face with a hockey stick on the slick. I see it all the time. Forearm to the back of the head. It's vicious out there, man. And it's taking me back to a time when I was a young man and I was watching a real NBA. Well, at least I thought it was a real NBA. It might have been staged back then, too. But, Bill Laimbeer, Rick
the Bad Boys, baby.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the Jordan rule. See, I don't know if LeBron James could have survived back then, man. I don't know. He is a freak. And there was different rules, so maybe he might have got up swinging back. I don't know.
He was adapted.
But, man, they beat the hell out of Michael Jordan every Eastern Conference Finals. Like, yo, I don't care who he is. If he comes close to the rim, to the cup, call it what you want. Elbows to the ribs, undercutting his legs. I mean, whatever they could do. You know, it was crazy. So I grew up with that, that machismo, man, that testosterone, man. I grew up watching Steve Atwater murder people, Ronnie Lott in the NFL, Ted. This is what I grew up on, man. Don't come across the middle, son. If you come across the middle, it's a wrap. Not on my watch. And so now watching how soft the NFL has become and how really soft the NBA has become, hey, man, I'm taking the hockey, man, and I'm learning, what icing is and what these delayed penalties are and, offsides. Ted, I'm picking it up. I'm learning that the face-off is equivalent to the jump ball in the NBA. I'm putting it together, Ted, a little bit at a time, bro.
That's good. That's good. The one question I do have that's not Stanley Cup related, when you mentioned the Solar Bears, is that IHL? Is that AHL? Which league is that?
ECHL.
Okay.
So it's like the equivalent of AA in baseball.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think they are the farm team for the Minnesota Wild?
Yes, they are they're the team. Yeah, they're part of the Wild Farm system.
There you go. And that's a shot in the dark right there, Dad. I guess a blind squirrel does get an acorn every now and then, huh?
Just like a Super Bowl.
Oh, shots fired. I'm going to let that one slide, though. Because y'all still waiting on y'all scripted Super Bowl.
They gave y'all that one. But, point.
Go ahead, brother.
No, I was saying to your point about, about the difference in sports nowadays. When you were talking about headhunters, you forgot Chuck Cecil, back with the Arizona Cardinals. He was lighting people up. But, I think the way the softness goes for both ways is that I think in the NFL's case it was more safety to try to protect the players. In my opinion, I think it's more of a safety issue to protect the players, which is kind of soft in the NFL. Because, if anarchy rules with the way how big these athletes are, I think these guys' careers will probably be a third less than what they're getting now. Now, as the NBA goes, we can talk all day about how soft the NBA has gotten. I'm an NBA guy first and foremost, but I know that 90% of the players are soft as Charmin. I'm talking one-ply Charmin that you get from the 89-cent rack at Walmart. They're softer than that. I don't think half these guys in the NBA now can play in the 80s. But the guys in the 80s would love to play in this day and age right now.
Oh, man, they have a field day.
Jordan would probably score, Jordan, you said the Jordan rules. Jordan went through the Jordan rules and averaged over 35 points a game against the Pistons.
Exactly. Good point.
While getting knocked to the ground, why not get knocked to the ground? And, Jordan was only 6'6", $198. So he wasn't built like LeBron. So, I think in LeBron's case, he would have to adapt to physicality. He has the body for the physicality. He just have to adapt. So I think it would take him a while, but I don't know how this has shifted back to basketball. We were on hockey, but and I won't spend one more second on this, but I will say when they start doing HGH testing in the NBA, then I'll comment on it.
Okay.
Other than that,
all right. I got you. Well, I'll tell you how we got here is because we were talking about the grittiness of hockey. And the appeal to me. The
grittiness. The tough man sport.
The competition, man. I mean, how many 7-game series that happened in this playoffs, man? I mean, you got teams coming back from 3. Man, the Kings rolled to the Stanley Cup. Jeez. Game 7's on the road all the way.
Listen, this is the Kings. Tonight is the Kings' 25th game. Name what NBA team will play 25 games in the playoffs? You won't.
It's not happening. And these guys are skating like it's October. They're not skating like it's been a long, grueling season. In Game 3 in Madison Square Garden, man, they were making the Rangers look like the Brooklyn Nets look when they play against a team like the Heat. Old.
Yeah. Yeah,
Old.
You're right. Okay.
They had no legs. I mean, they were trying to. I mean, the kitchen sink. I felt sorry for Lundqvist because it really wasn't his fault. They wasn't helping him out. They just didn't have the energy. But every time a Ranger, I don't care who it was, got the puck and was trying to make a move, they had 2 or 3 Kings around them all night.
Rick Nash couldn't stay on his feet. And you can't blame the goalie when the puck is hitting off of body parts.
No, you
can't blame the goalie.
And, but on the flip side, where Jonathan Quick has been, he's been solid. He hasn't been great throughout the postseason, but he's been solid enough to get his team where they are now. But that game 3, he looked like the greatest goalie in the world. I mean, some of those saves were amazing.
You heard the Rangers coach. He's, the best goalie in the world right now. And and you're saying that, and you got Henrik Lundqvist is your goalie, and you're talking about Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, exactly. I had to take it back to Harlem Nights, man. I was watching that, man. I was like Arsenio Hall, man, when he discovered Tommy got killed, man, and he saw Quick. That's how I was, man. It was unbelievable. And I'm a Lightning fan, man. I have no vested interest, but it's just a competition. This is a spirit, and he was amazing that night. He was amazing. So, I mean, with that said, the NHL has a great product. And
they do. They really do.
The question is, hopefully the Rangers can hold court throughout the third period. Hopefully they don't let those, monsters that the Kings have, get to Lundqvist tonight too many times to where they get swept. So here's to you, New York Rangers. And if you don't make it, there's New Orleans Saints hat that I'm wearing. I take it off to you, man. I take it off to that whole team. Mr. Suit wearing Lundqvist on down, player. But let's talk about the NHL. We talked about continue to talk about it, rather. We have a series that we're running, ladies and gentlemen, over the next few weeks where we're going to be talking about the individual leagues called Fix My League. And this week, we're going to be talking about National Hockey League. Now, the National Hockey League has had PR nightmares affect its popularity drastically over the last, I would say 15, maybe 20 years. They dealt with some tremendous lockouts that pretty much took them off of national TV. They were on channels called Versus, I mean, you couldn't find this channel in the daytime with a flashlight if you wanted to. You know what I'm saying? That's how.
Wasn't the UHF channel?
And Danny, when they won Versus, that was in about 90,000 homes.
Yeah,
that's bad.
I thought Versus was a UFF channel. Those channels you had on the old TVs that you had to turn with the rabbit ears to make sure you got it in correctly. UHF wasn't one of the UHF channels. Right. And it was something that wasn't distributed the right way. NBC came around and purchased and acquired Versus when at the onset of the NBC Sports Network, and then the rest is history that we'll discuss tonight. But Versus was in about 90,000 homes. So try finding that on your, whether you have satellite or cable, whoever your provider is. It's nowhere. It's something that you're calling your provider saying, hey, I want this channel. And they're like, we can't provide it to you. Because we can't find it.
Yeah, no doubt. And, even though they have taken a step forward with getting some of their games on NBC Sports, everybody doesn't have NBC Sports, Ted. It is bigger than Versus, obviously. It's NBC. But everybody doesn't have that channel.
You're right.
So what does hockey need to do to make the leap to actual NBC or CBS, Fox? How does that happen? How did we get to that point? ESPN.
I think honestly, what happened was I think one of the major drawbacks was when ESPN left after the last. Back me up on this one if I'm wrong. When they left during the last lockout, and NBC took a chance on the NHL the same way they took with MLS. But I think honestly, to get this thing back into mainstream America where it was in the '90s, when we saw the Rangers. I mean, the '94 Cup was one of the most most watched Stanley Cups we've seen in a long time. I think NBC has to take the pride off itself, the sports network, and do what ABC does with ESPN, and make it a non-premium subscription channel. Make it available to everybody. Because because most people who have cable don't have the higher tier sports package. But if you have people with cable, they have ESPN. They have the ESPN family. I think if they make NBC Sports Network much more acceptable to people to actually have the channel, I think that's the first step in the right direction to get people to watch NHL. Because I think here, if I'm right, I think on Bright House down here in Orlando, I think it's part of the Premier Sports Channel package. That's $6.95 a month. I'm not paying $7 a month for one channel. I mean, I do that. I mean, it's not the NFL. I'll pay $7 a month for the NFL. I'm not paying $7 a month for hockey. But if hockey is free, I'm going to watch it. I think that's the first step in the right direction. Also, if NBC came up with an idea like ESPN has the Watch ESPN app, if you make the app for people who don't have cable, for people who use internet television, and it's going to take money out of NBC's pocket, but I think that it will grow the game. If it makes it more accessible for people to watch it, because I do appreciate NBC's coverage and how dedicated they are to the NHL.
And just so NBC knows, Ted, we're giving them all this free advice pro bono. So NBC Sports, Barbershop Sports, yes, we are independent, but we are available and looking for a major network home. So,
Shameless plug. Hey, I just want to address this. That Danny, you had a couple of great points. I think you take a step further back and you look at what Gary Bettman and the COO John Collins are doing with the Winter Classic. I think it starts there because that's something that's very positive, and it draws each year about $20 million. So the key to this is there's 23 professional hockey teams in America right now. You've got to promote it there first because it's already popular in the world, but it's not as popular here. Anytime you ask any common fan where does NHL rank for them, it's going to, of the big four, it's probably going to be 3 or 4. So I think, number one, you market it here, kind of like what they do, what NBC does with Sunday Night Football in America, and their host of games on Sunday evening, they make it available on the web for free.
Yep.
The app is the next piece to it that needs to be available for that fan. But I think going for what they do every January with the Winter Classic is the start, because the goal is bring the common fan there. So that's why they have it at Yankee Stadium. That's why they have it at Fenway Park, and they have it out in Los Angeles. Because you get that fan, okay, because you already have your diehards there.
Right.
So it's really that. It's really that because they're looking up at the other big three. They're looking up, and
they are.
They're kind of stuck. They're kind of
stuck. They're looking up from the Grand Canyon right now, player.
So it's marketable. Hey, one more thing, Danny. It's marketable. It's just shy under $4 billion in revenue. So, but that's a big step from the $10 billion that the NFL is making. So I'll pass it back to you.
Well, here's a question for you then, Ted. And Hez, I want you to answer this one too. Wouldn't it be, as you said, they just made $3.7 billion? One of the main problems to me about the NHL is that in America there is no, guy we can relate to. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I think hockey needs an American version of Wayne Gretzky. They need that one athlete to transition the entire sport. A LeBron James type of athlete that comes from America that kids can relate to. And secondly, with $3.7 billion, they really need to start investing in the youth programs. I'm not just saying across the country. I really think they should really start in the inner cities, because not just anything. I'm talking about the inner cities where you get a lot of the minorities to play the game. Because if you go in Canada, I'm pretty sure you could find a hockey rink or someplace to play hockey anywhere in Canada. I live in Orlando. And one of my son's friends is a hockey player, and he's Cameron's 6. But his parents have to drive him to Tampa just so he can play hockey. And that's an hour drive. So I think that if the NHL would just bring these initiatives in and start getting some of these athletes in these cities, like I think one that, like we mentioned, Anson Carter. Anson Carter lives in Atlanta. We start building rinks in Atlanta and having Anson Carter come out and just have some sticks and some pucks. We don't need to be hitting kids. The kids will be hitting, but just getting these kids exposed to the NHL, getting exposed to hockey and ice skating. I think that you're going to start seeing more kids draw to hockey. The same, that's a problem with baseball. They're not putting their kids in minority kids in the programs to play these sports. Basketball and football are easy, because with basketball, all you need is a basketball, some shoes, and a court. And you can play one-on-one and two-on-two all day long. Football, get a bunch of kids and a football in a field or somebody's backyard. You're playing for hours.
Hey, yo, Danny. We didn't. Yeah.
Go ahead, Hez.
For basketball, shoot, we didn't even need all that, man. All we needed was a street, an upside down milk crate that we nailed to a light pole, and we went to town. And if we didn't have the milk crate, if the milk crate fell, we took a grocery basket from one of the grocery stores, and that was our goal. I mean, that's literally how, we didn't have to have a basketball goal to play basketball.
No, you got to get close basketball.
Needs to be more accessible. That's a great point. You got to start with the youth sports, and you have to market your players.
Exactly.
If I go to especially down south. Yes, you do have, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Dallas Stars, the Carolina Hurricanes. You do have teams down south. But, take, for instance, the Thrashers that were in Atlanta?
Yeah.
So you have a city that has the Braves, the Falcons, the Hawks, and they were big enough and had the revenue to also have a hockey team. But there wasn't interest there. There wasn't enough interest in that team. There's not enough interest in hockey in the South, period, is where I'm going with that. Up north, in Detroit, New York, Pennsylvania, that's what these guys do. And if they don't have a hockey rink, they get some rollerblades, put 2 nets out in the streets, get some sticks, and then make it happen with a tennis ball. You don't see that down south. So you got to give them faces they relate to. You got to give them faces they relate to. The average guy should know about who Steve Stamkos is. Who Ryan Callahan is. Especially if you're in Florida. And if you just in general, you should know who T.J. Oshie is. Ovechkin, Sid the Kid, Patrick Kane, Taves. Gabbard, you should know these guys. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to talk about some of the minority faces, Ray Emery, P.K. Subban, Seth Jones, Darnell Nurse, these kids don't even know. A lot of these kids don't even know who Seth Jones is. Who Darnell Nurse is?
Well, the funny thing about Seth Jones is that, the story behind Seth Jones is that his dad is Popeye Jones.
Right.
And, his dad played all around the NBA. And so he was in NBA locker rooms all as a kid. But one night his dad took him to an Avalanche game. And he fell in love, and he met Joe Sakic. He said that's the day it changed his life. He wanted to become a hockey player. So, you have a kid who's been in NBA locker rooms with basketball, with millions of NBA athletes. He meets one hockey player that changes his life. And that's what America needs. They need a guy they can just relate to, a guy they can fall back on. I think the NHL's product on the ice is, I think, second to the NFL when it comes to best product on the market. I think it's better than the NBA's product now. I think it's better than Major League Baseball, but the NHL doesn't have that exposure. You have 23 teams in the United States, and outside of the teams up north, and then you have, LA and Anaheim, there's not much, especially in the South, not much love for the NHL. I think like I said, we put the grassroots programs in the beginning, and we get these kids started. Like you said, even just with rollerblades, if parents can't afford to put their kids on the ice, hey, start rollerblade programs. It's not hard to get kids to rollerblade, and just teach them the fundamentals. We could teach this stuff in gym class, or some kind of physical education, and just make it accessible. Hockey's very expensive. You live up north. Totally. You understand how hockey's expensive. So if they can make it much more accessible for parents, it would be a lot better.
Hey, so there's two things here that we want to get back to and just provide some additional information on. Number one, the MLB, the dedication is not there for the inner city, nor will it be there as long as you have, outlets in the Dominican Republic. And, we've talked on numerous occasions about where we are with the MLB and the African-American ball player, the dwindling number. So it's, 9% in the league. So, I know this is not the night or the forum to discuss that, but number two, the item on what's being done to develop, ice hockey, the initiative here in the U.S. The one person I want to mention, and I'm a big fan of, because we always talk about this medium, is Mark Messier. The key thing that he's doing is he has an initiative right now where he's developing 9 hockey rinks within the 5 boroughs. So right now he's developing something in the Bronx where he's basically, he's doing this with a few other people, some venture capitalists, because it's about growing the sport, and he understands that. He sees there's a void. So if he can step out, I'm sure there's other former players, other former great players that need to do it in, arenas all over. The one thing that we have in America, you have land, and every part of it isn't used. It has some type of, buildings that are no longer in use. I'm not talking about row houses or anything like that, but that's where you start with the youth initiative. You get the youth involved, you're going to be fine. And you grow your fan base from inside. It's just a shame that it's great that LA and New York were able to play, because we got to see, two big teams, and there was heavy expectations on it. But I think what Gary Bettman needs to do is to go back, circle back, and say, okay, how do we really do this? Because it's more than just the money, the revenue that they're generating from the Winter Classic. How do you really grow the sport so that it could leapfrog MLB or NBA in revenue? Because isn't that the goal in the end? Back to you.
These guys get paid a lot of money, Ted. The commissioners, all of the league people in the league office, the marketing people. And you say, $3.7 billion. No, it's not the $5 billion or the $5 billion of the NBA or the $9 billion of the big dog, the NFL, but $3.7 billion ain't nothing to sleep on. They should be taking some of that money, like you said, and investing in themselves, in their product. Danny, you said it. A guy who grew up in Seth Jones, his dad played basketball. That was his profession. So he grew up around the sport. But yet, the first time he was introduced to hockey and met Joe Sakic, he fell in love with the sport. And I can relate to that story in that, I went to an Orlando Solar Bears game, and that was cool. It was fun. They had a lot of fighting, and, it was fun. But I could clearly see that those guys were not as good as the NHL players. I mean, it's like watching, minor league stuff. So, which it is. So, anyways, when you and I, Danny, went to the Tampa Bay Lightning game, dude, I think that probably was one of the best experiences in sports I've ever had in my life. And I'll say that because, for one, the way that the game ended in a tie, ended up in a shootout. I'm seeing fantastic shots back and forth. One was a mic dropping shot from Steve Stamkos spinning around. Mm-hmm. And it was just awesome, man. It was just such a great experience, and meeting the Lightning brass, and knowing how much they've invested in themselves and in that community. Well, and it's working out for them because the house is packed. Well, the league needs to do that. They need to do that. Go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead, finish it. I'm going to take you off that.
No, I was just going to say that they need to invest in themselves, because it's a damn shame. Like you said, they got the second best product on the field. Dude, unless it's the World Series, and something is actually on the line, there's no way I'm watching baseball on TV. I mean, will I go to a game? Will I go check out the Rays or whatever? Yeah. I mean, that's a different type of experience, but it still doesn't compare to hockey, whether live or on TV. So go ahead, Big Danny.
No, it's exactly the point, because the game we went to, and for the excitement of those 17,000 people in Tampa, that was just, Tuesday night? A regular Tuesday night game, against the Islanders in the middle of March, and they were going against the Florida. It was a Thursday because they were going against the Gators, who were playing here in Orlando the same day of the NCAA tournament. The NHL has two things that the other sports, with the exception of the NFL, I know actually the two sports don't have. Like Ted mentioned earlier, they have Winter Classic, which I think is on par with the Daytona 500, and the Indianapolis 500, but just a step below the Super Bowl as probably the best single one-day event you're going to find that's not championship related in sports. Because Winter Classic for one day, especially on January 1st, now they extended to other places, but for that one day on New Year's Day, you're watching 70, 80, I think they're going to be in Detroit next year, over 100,000 people watching the game of hockey. The NHL also has the best All-Star game on the market.
Yeah, they do. You're right.
It. I mean, their skills competition is insane, and they're the ones who started the schoolyard pickup All-Star game. The NFL adopted it. I think the NBA is considering adopting it. And I think Major League Baseball might try to do it as well too, where you pick captains and they choose their teams. That way, guys get to play together and never get to play against each other, or play on the same team. There's no more East-West format. Guys are out there having fun. And the NHL All-Star game, you might have the best goalkeepers in the world, but you got the best skilled players in the world, and they're having fun. The exposure of the NHL is something that we don't have right now. And, to piggyback off what Ted says, well, too, with Messier starting these rinks up in New York, another thing that we're missing compared to, like it is in Canada, is there are no junior leagues. In Canada, you have if you're a kid, you're playing all this hockey, in the States. Where are you going to go? To what one of the 10 colleges that play hockey here in the States, or you're going to go to Canada to go play in the juniors? If there's even Canadian junior teams in like Seattle or in places up north. If they actually started a league in the United States for juniors from 14, 15, 16, like they do in Canada, it gives these kids who are playing hockey something to look forward to as they make it through the ranks. You give these kids education, but at the same time, you let them have hockey as a backdrop. It's something
Absolutely.
different.
Absolutely. Dude, the skills. You talk about the skill, in watching going from, the minor league, ECHL to the NHL. And you don't really appreciate it until you see it. It's like watching, for me, when I talk about skating skills, having those good feet on the ice. It's like watching Tony Parker get to the cup, man. That's like one of the most beautiful things to watch. Because Tony Parker does it in all kind of traffic, man. I don't know how he winds his way through all of those guys sometimes, and it's just like clockwork, man. It's automatic for him, man. I have never, in all my years in watching the NBA, seen a guy get to the cup better than Tony Parker. Maybe as good, but not better. And right now, there's no point guard that can get to the cup better than Tony Parker. He's just amazing. But that takes incredible footwork. That takes incredible body control to be able to do that. And taking that back to hockey, man, when you got three guys, crowding in on you, and you're making a break for the goal, and to be able to to weave your way on ice, not Tony Parker has tennis shoes on with traction, with rubber on the soles. These guys are doing this.
Yeah.
There ain't no friction. There ain't no traction. It's just straight speed, baby. And to be able to tiptoe and skip through that and keep your stick and keep the puck focused and have a shot on the goal, that is a rare thing. It's a beautiful thing. And just think, man, if some more of our best athletes that we produce were introduced to this from youth, from as a young age, at a young age, man, you see even more of that.
Yeah, and the people who think that.
I hope the commissioner is listening, Danny. The NBC, NHL, we are telling you right now how to get this league back to the days when I was watching the Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice video and he had on the Pittsburgh Penguins jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When in my senior year, a long time ago, Ted, I used to think I was going to be a rapper when I grew up.
Uh-oh.
And I performed in front of my class. And you know what I rocked on stage, Ted? I rocked a hockey jersey, kid.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We're talking about this, and it's just taking me back, man. It's taking me back to that all-star cartoon. Do you remember the cartoon, man, with Wayne Gretzky and Michael Jordan? And, what was that? Andre the Hulk Hogan? You remember that?
It was Pro Stars. It was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. Pro Stars.
Man, that's how big hockey was, man. Everybody, whether you were familiar with the sport, you knew about it. Or not, whether you're familiar with it or not. Cats that ain't never been to Toronto in their life was rocking Toronto Maple Leaf jerseys, man. Just because it looked good with the shoes.
I had Canucks jersey. I remember my Christmas I was 10 years old. That's when the Rangers had won the cup. And I asked my mom for a Rangers jersey for Christmas. And my mom, she went to the Spiegel catalog. That's how old it is. The Spiegel catalog. And ordered me a Rangers set. But it ended up me getting a Canucks jersey that had Pavel Bury's name on the back of it with a Maple Leaf watch. And I rocked it proudly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big Ted, I know you remember Ice Cube rocking the Los Angeles Kings hats, right? I know you remember NWA, baby.
I remember all the NWA making it popular and making it, in vogue and chic to wear an LA Kings jersey and hats and everything, so it's always been there. The love is there. I mean, so right here, this has been a case study. This last segment has just been a case study to you, Comcast, who are the owners of NBC, on how to fix this league.
Yep. And the best part about it is, Ted, if they fix this, it's not just going to help the NHL. It's going to help NBC Sports Network and Comcast. And 2, it's going to help MLS. And 3, it's going to help the EPL because they also own the soccer league rights for both those leagues. And the last point, before I drop the mic on this one, is that for anybody who's listening to this and their kid is bigger than, he shouldn't be playing hockey, he's too big, 2 words for you: Zdeno Chara.
Frankenstein on ice, baby. A monster, and God knows. And when I get on my knees and pray, Big Ted, that I'm asking for 2 things, man. Well, one is for Barbershop Sports to be the most dominant sports podcast in the world. I mean, we're the best. We got the best product. We're talking about, just like we're talking about hockey. It's got one of the better products. But the other side of that, man, is can somebody please bring down ESPN? Please! And the only one that's close or has a chance to do that, from what I can see, is NBC Sports. But they seem like they're sitting on their thumbs in those offices, man. Like, okay, we got the NBC Sports website, we got the NBC Sports channel, but you go to the NBC Sports website and it looks like crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, you're looking at something that's just above a 1997 GeoCities website.
Yes, GeoCities. Yes. Wow.
I mean, dude, and how much money does NBC have?
Dude, billions. They're Comcast. They're owned by Comcast. So, and Comcast buys everyone. Time Warner, you name it. They're buying corporations for $40-50 billion. So the money is there. Nothing. It's just the marketing isn't there, and the whoever's in charge is doing a very bad job. But
I mean, it's a mess of a website, man. I mean, dude, it's a mess of a website. The only other competition that to ESPN that I really see, I'm talking about major competition, is Yahoo Sports.
Yahoo has a partnership with NBC. They're all in
they obviously don't do the website because.
Well, don't forget you have Fox Sports too, though. You have the Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2.
I don't know why, but they seem like an afterthought sometimes, man. Because I don't know anybody who watched that ensemble cast show that they came up with Regis Philbin. Do you?
No, I've never seen a single episode.
I think honestly whatsoever in watching that show.
Here's the thing: it's like when you look at the 3 channels like that, ESPN controls the NFL and the NBA. NBC has control of the NHL and soccer, and the only thing and Fox has control of NASCAR and Major League Baseball.
Right.
The thing is, Fox is the same way as NBC. They put everything on their networks, and I think this is good. And it's hard if it's not a premium channel, people can't watch it, and neither one of those 2 companies have even realized to put an app out there for the folks who don't have cable. But the one thing that the NHL needs more than anything else besides what we talked about is the more marketable stars. By Forbes magazine, only 2 players make $1 million a year in endorsements. The Heat have 3 players that make over $3 million a year in endorsements. I'm sorry, Mario Chalmers makes more in endorsement money than Jonathan Tays does. I think he's on the level of Sidney Crosby because Mario Chalmers has an endorsement deal with Spalding that's worth more than what Sidney Crosby makes a year. That's
unacceptable. We're trying to tell them. We're trying to put money in their pockets, Ted. Who doesn't want more money?
Everyone. And most importantly, we want more. We want to make put a little bit of money in our pockets. So
hello, sponsors, NBC Sports.
Susie Schultz from Westwood 1, we will be calling you.
Yes.
I'm telling you now. I didn't mean to jump in front of anybody, but you're not going to find the Barbershop Sports on CBS, on Fox, on NBC. You're just not going to get that flavor, man. And you need that flavor, man. It's like, cause I'm from New Orleans, man. It's like getting that good bowl of gumbo, man, with that good filet seasoning, man. And you dip that spoon in there, man, and you're tasting all that good seafood, the rice, the crab, everything. Or just getting you a bowl of chicken soup. What do you want? You want gumbo? Or you want chicken soup? Hey, the only time I want chicken soup is when I'm sick, Ted.
Yes,
I ain't looking for chicken soup no other time of the year. But I eat gumbo 24/7 if I could. So let's pop out, shameless plug. Baby, we love all of y'all. I seen Big Ray in the house. I haven't seen him in a while. It's good to see you. F-Bomb, it was good to see him. Everybody that listened live. I think I see Gary from Greensboro. Big shout out. Look, we're going to be back next week. We'll be off the air in 5 seconds, so we just want to let y'all know we love y'all. We'll be back next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. with more fire, discussing the aftershock or whatever it's going to be after this NBA Finals is over, after the Stanley Cup Finals is over, and whatever else happens in this wild, crazy world of sports and pop culture. We will be fixing another league for all you soccer heads out there. We'll also be chopping it up a little bit on the results of the World Cup and what's happened up to that point. It's just a blast. I love doing this. I love, chopping it up with my Barbershop Sports panel, man. Big Ted, Big Danny, thanks for rocking with me tonight, man.
Always.
Big Bucko, B-Rye, you know what I'm saying? I know you guys had some things that kept you out tonight, but you're not forgotten. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to the whole Barbershop Sports Nation. Don't forget Espo. Thank you. Espo, AJ. And let me just get my Kevin Durant on again. I want to thank my mama for always being there for me. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever confuse me with LeBron James. I love my mama. And I love Barbershop Sports. And we're about to get up out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody have a great night. Peace.
Peace.